Okay, welcome back, ladies and gents. We are talking about the 5-season cult show created by Stephen J. Cannell of Wise Guy and Hunter fame,
Yes,
as well as Frank Lupo, who you might know for a lot of those same Stephen J. Cannell productions as well. He also worked on Magnum P.I., Galactica 1980, BJ and the Bear, Stingray, and even later created Werewolf. So yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff.
I know a good show. I love that one. Too bad it's only one series.
Right? Yeah, man.
It had potential.
It totally did. The legendary theme song is done by none other than Mike Post. The stunt coordination and second unit direction and later main director was none other than Craig R. Baxley, who you know from, again, probably stunt doubling Warren Beatty, doing a bunch of second unit blockbuster segments for movies such as Predator and later cult movies like I Come in Peace and Stone Cold. So he's now had a big prolific TV career, even adapting some Stephen King stuff like Storm of the Century, and as well as the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries The Triangle. So yeah, he's pretty good, surprisingly, with getting emotional and intense moments, but he all started on this campy show.
Yeah. You just hit on some good movies, and some people that don't know about, like the I Come in Peace and wait, what was the one that you mentioned?
Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah, with I forgot what the guy's name is, but we called the football player. That was in that movie. That's like awesome. That's like 80, like
right.
the 80s, early 90s or something.
Mm-hmm.
So something I grew up with, folks. Yeah, including like cartoon stuff, but that's a whole different story.
Right. Altogether, it stars none other than, good old George Peppard as ex-Special Forces Commando Lieutenant Colonel John Hannibal Smith. You might know him from just, various westerns and mystery shows.
I only known him from the A-Team. I know he had a bunch of different other stuff, but that was like
he was briefly in Breakfast at Tiffany's, but yeah.
That's more like Dean Martin kind of like era and everything else. So, but and also Mr. T, which I started doing.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was on this show, but at the time, all I had seen were, again, his joke books and Rocky Free.
Oh yeah, but he was in there with Hulk Hogan, right? That was the.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. We called it's like Thunder Lips.
Thunder Lips, yeah, and he later was. He was on this other show, which you can actually find on YouTube, which was called what was it? This is just such a wacky show. It actually TNT, like it was a play on that. It was a syndicated show. And literally you can watch it and much like anything, it was just silly.
And entertaining. So, like back in those days, it's more entertainment than.
I forgot he was a wrestler, though. That was the other catchy.
Mr. T, I think he was more like a boxer, I think. He was more.
I thought so too, but it says apparently he was inducted into like the Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but they always do that where, because I'm into wrestling as it is too. And
I know he did a boxing stunt.
Yeah, no, I mean he did like working out boxing, but he did some wrestling thing with Roddy Piper and Hulk Hogan and showing up on there, but once you're friends with Hulk Hogan, you got to go to the gym with him. So I mean, that's what it seems like because you have Sting, but I know we're talking about A-Team and all that, but
Oh yeah, and it's
I
just
guess
so funny
that.
how he looked older than he actually was back then.
Oh yeah,
You look at his senior photo and you're like, from high school, and you're like, no fucking way. And
yeah. I was actually, what I was telling you, I was watching the A-Team series, and then when I was watching Mr. T, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do my hair as a mohawk.
go for it,
So
man. Go for
I've
it.
been doing it ever since. So once I get it shaved on the sides, because I'm kind of due. I was gonna get it this weekend, but my work kind of like
Yeah, I'm your host Sully here, and we do have Ta2Squid podcasts, Dre. So,
yes,
and for those listening, and yeah, I mean, I the show is just always just constantly mentioned, and I mean, even sci-fi fans are going to probably always end up checking it out just because you know, uh, Templeton, Faceman Peck, is
yeah,
portrayed by the original Battlestar Galactica's Dirk Benedict, and
yeah,
uh, then we also had Howling Mad Murdoch, who was portrayed by Dwight Schultz, and that was his big role before he played Barclay on Star Trek Next Generation,
yeah. I forgot about that.
and since then he's done other notable guest spots in movies, but mainly just been a prolific voice actor.
Yeah,
I actually like a lot of his guest spots on other movies and shows like Babylon 5 and Stargate.
yeah. He's been doing a lot of sci-fi stuff. That surprisingly, I'm
Yeah,
surprised he wasn't in like Buck Rogers or something.
right. He does kind of have that. He should be bigger on that. But yeah, just always friendly at conventions, and yeah, just
Oh,
neat guy.
don't get me started on Buck Rogers. I mean, I'm not knocking Buck Rogers. Love
Yeah,
Buck
yeah.
Rogers,
All good. All
but
good.
but I love Erin Gray. Erin Gray is on Buck Rogers. She plays a colonel, but
Mm-hmm.
that's where the hot pants has been not resurrected, but I think it's born on that show because that's all she wears is like hot pants. It's like back well, and it was the 70s. So you do a no, what's the 70s? 70s like
Yeah,
late 70s,
no,
early 80s.
yeah, it was late 70s, early 80s, and like you say, it's interesting how um like you say how that show, like Star Trek, it's got some camp, but it's also got some progressiveness, but at the same
Oh yeah,
time it's also it can be dated in parts, but it's fun, and
yeah.
it's uh
We're talking about A-Team, right? Yeah, because that.
oh no, I was talking about Buck Rogers, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah, no, but I'm
no,
surprised Buck Rogers didn't go out more. They should have just stayed on a little bit more.
yeah, so ridiculous. It should have lasted at least 7 more years.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, with 18, yeah, it's one of those that even if no one's seen it, people know about it just because it's the go-to, like the do-it-yourself kind of, take out the trash, and like MacGyver, it was nice, clean fun.
Yeah.
Adults liked it, kids liked it. It was a live action cartoon practically. You could have some cool stunts, simple plot, and there were always some Easter eggs. It's so wild when they bring in, Robert Vaughn as like one of the overseers, and then they brought in his Man from Uncle co-star David McCallum as his arch Russian nemesis. So it'd
Yeah.
be funny how they'd have some other just like gotcha moments in there, and
And
how they're, and kind of like MacGyver, it is interesting how they'll have some serious topics and then they'll just kind of downplay it.
sometimes they get really like into the whole thing. Like they talk about drugs, um, crime, the crime
Mm-hmm.
syndicate. I mean, they got Bigfoot in there, but it's like everybody believes a certain thing, and they tackle um even peer pressure. I think was one of them, and
Yeah.
you know,
And,
um,
compared to some of the other 80s shows, I mean, like for instance, like another Stephen J. Cannell production, Hunter, it'll have some stereotypes being arrested, but at least they won't hit on it to death to where you're like, okay, yeah, that's silly. But
yeah, but the crime what's it called, the certain like killer they have, like the strangler or the roadside killer kind of thing, and it's interesting for certain episodes, and then
yeah, they'll have some mobsters too,
yeah,
and but like you say, they don't play it out too much, and they don't have uh, obviously, Mike Post. There's a wonderful composer who's done everything from Saint Elsewhere to Law and Order to every other Stephen Bochco production, and
yeah.
his themes don't go on way too long or too much for their own good. Obviously, the Mr. T, contract dispute was ridiculous. That should have never happened. But other than that,
It's Hollywood.
yeah, yep. Other than that, uh, there's just always just a lot of just fun material in each moment. It's out of all the various guest stars, there's Yaphet Kotto, there's Michael Ironside and Ernie Hudson in one, basically involving like just car auto shop guys being humiliated by cartel guy. Rick James played himself. Hulk Hogan played himself in one.
Oh yeah.
Pat Sajak, Will of Fortune was in one.
Pat Sajak, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
John, yeah, she was. John Saxon, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Isaac Hayes. That was kind of goofy in that same Rick James episodes. I know Dennis Haysbert, the Allstate guy, was in one as like a henchman. What did I see? That was pretty wild. But it's so wild how James Coburn was considered for Hannibal Smith, and while I would have been cool with that, he was still making movies at the time, so it would have probably been a step down for him. But out of my favorites, I mentioned Hudson and Ironside. It's so funny seeing them be their usual intense self, but they're at the beginning of their careers, and they're downplaying it compared to how over the top they end up becoming better known for. Season 3, there was one that had Paul Gleason, from Breakfast Club and Die Hard, and Charles Napier from Rambo 2, and even Stephanie Kramer, a few years before she did on her, basically making her debut. There was a Richard Lynch episode. You might know him from, again, the original Galactica and a bunch of other just crazy B movies like Transfers 2. And it's just so funny how this is just replayed everywhere. It's currently on MeTV, but it's been on everything from Tubi and Cozy and Stars.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tubi has a lot.
Peacock. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I watch it. I watch A-Team. I think Hunter I watch on there once in a while. D-Mine Celebrity Roast. Anything that's like, has like substance, stays on there. So, but also, there was also Dirk Benedict wasn't like the first choice as Face, because well, and you see in the pilot of the A-Team, there's a different person that plays Face. So it's
that's right. Shit.
So there's a guy that plays Face, and a girl that is Amy Allen in the first one, when she gets the help.
Yeah, the original Amy, was played by a different one, and then there was the Tanya Baker gal who was
but that was more like season 3 or 4 when they did the thing with the colonel that would kind of like clear them, and he uses them for different missions other than helping people out.
I even forgot that Captain Crane, who's part of the military police, often in the background running around. That was future director Carl Franklin, who started out directing a lot of stuff for Roger Corman and then acclaimed HBO shows and Denzel Washington movies. Yeah, it's a big start for all kinds of people.
Oh yeah, definitely. You look at the show and you're like, I know that guy. Oh, he started on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Stephen J. Cannell, I think
Alan Autry from In the Heat of the Night was in one. Brian James from freaking Blade Runner was in another. But yeah, for 83, it starts off with a bang, and then even it's fun seeing Babylon 5 chicks like Tracy Scoggins and Claudia Christian in a few different ones. The Christian one was funny because essentially she was just one of those mini just basically, she and a sister gal are just all they're doing is just basically just on the run from these loan sharks and asking for some backup. It's like they're torching our factory, man. And like you say, it is kind of a fun, just kind of blue collar measure, just seeing.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite episode of 18?
Man, there was one where they went on a cruise ship that was kind of fun, and I liked how, like you said, Buck Rogers was a good contrast. Even when there's some people who are meant to be sexy, it's downplayed compared to other shows. It's not as in your face to say something stupid like, Baywatch or whatever. And
oh yeah.
It's like you say, it's also just fun looking at just other actors. Tia Carrere was meant to join the crew, but she could only do one episode later in season 4. There's some other fun ones. The Wishmaster himself, Andrew Devoff, is in a few like different season 5 episodes playing various characters.
Yeah, he's more like the evil guy.
Totally. He was doing it before he even became his Dill, and there's plenty of other just that guy actors that are fun. Elkeel Jones, Dennis Lipscomb, and Richard Romanus, John Fugioka, Joe Santos. There's another one. You probably know him from I think it was freaking Rockford Files and Sopranos. But Janine Turner, Rosalind Child, there's Keiko from Star Trek. Altogether, I forgot Ducat himself was later one. Mark Alimo, you might know him from Tango and Cash, but and as another Rocky comparison, Tony Burden was in a season 1 episode. But I don't have any issues with it. I think it's kind of like MacGyver. It's just easy comfort food, and that's why it's lasted so long. And as it goes on, there's some other fun moments. I kind of remember some of the other ones with Bo Hopkins and Mako, but it's not. I mean, girls could enjoy it. It's not necessarily, even though it's got 4 main guys. It's not necessarily just a guy show. I didn't see anything toxic or just too terribly outdated to where you're just like, oh, that didn't age well.
Yeah, wasn't Mako he was in he did actually, we call it the last, I think, episode I just left on for A-Team was the one with Mako in it.
I think so. And
he was like the chef, but then he was running because he thought he was going to get killed by like some kind of crime boss that was associated with the guy that kind of terrorized him when he was a POW.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then they it's so funny seeing Boy George, the musician, playing himself, but this time is making him be more of a country music star, and you're like, no, he wasn't a country music star, but that's funny.
Culture Club, I think it was in a season. But I'm looking at the ones that's been on there like in alphabetical order. So they show different ones.
All kinds of stuff.
We'll return after these messages.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
We let things pile up in the DVR, we add them to our queues, we wait for the DVDs and Blu-rays. We time shift. The Time Shifters Podcast. Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, superheroes, comedy, action, film, television, maybe some not-so-current events. Find us on iTunes or at timeshifterspodcast.com.
Cool thing about Blind Knowledge is we are in multiple countries. We are worldwide all across the globe. We are in the US, we are in the UK, we are in Canada, Germany, India, Japan. We're in Australia, y'all. BlindKnowledge.com. Now back to the feature presentation.
Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto, all things that we love, all manga that were originally published in the legendary magazine Weekly Shonen Jump.
But not every series can run for 300 chapters and have a hit anime. This is David.
This is Jordan.
We're the hosts of Shonen Flop. Each episode we look at manga that ran in Jump that didn't quite make it.
We discuss what it did wrong, what it did right, how the series could have turned itself around, and ultimately, was it a flop or not?
We're on all your favorite podcast apps, and you can find us at shonenflop.com.
Keep on flopping, floppers.
Every episode goes by pretty fast. I can't think of any that just where it was just like, oh, this is just going on way too long than it needs to go. No, they all wrap up pretty well, and to their credit, they're still doing, tricks that every show does good, where something different happens. So it is kind of much like the whole, sure, there were plenty of people watching it just because, it was the 80s. Everyone was watching anything on the small screen, but there's just as much, it is kind of like something like, say, if you want to have it be a drinking game for something stupid like maybe Walker Texas Ranger, you can do it in that retrospect. If you want to actually watch it in more of a fun Saturday morning kind of show like Nash Bridges, you can watch it in that aspect, in that tone as well. But it helps that, again, it never took itself that seriously, and it was just, again, it was meant to be just kind of it was almost, people call it a Saturday morning cartoon, but in a way I almost feel like it kind of, and let me know if you think this, do you feel like it also kind of is kind of a good example of how you could probably do a video game kind of plot,
What, for A-Team?
Yeah, just with the whole, you can do the big boss of the week. Ding, 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 ding,
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do like a video game. When you had like the A-Team van coming up.
Their van is totally, nowadays that would be kind of a Mario Kart kind of thing,
Well, nowadays, like, people are, because there's like a place I go to once in a while, there's like fairs around over here, and they have one where it's like a truck fair or a vehicle, and they have like every vehicle from every genre of TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had the Knight Rider. Actually, there's a guy that we used to live like in a complex area,
right?
And I would come home from work, and then in the morning I see this like T-top black Trans Am coming out.
Yeah,
and it has the Knight Rider line going across, and I'm like, oh, and I'm honking, I'm like, nice dude,
right.
And then he's like, awesome, he's like driving away, and sounds like it. And but the old places have like Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters, whatever vehicle you could think of, they pretty much have it at that place,
right?
But A-Team Van, I wish they had that. Oh, Smoking the Bandit.
It does kind of have a Smokey and the Bandit kind of deal to it. And every once in a while they'll meet some, shall we say, just snobby, like again, like deputies, but they're definitely not anywhere near as bigoted as any of the assholes. Freaking Smokey,
Richard Mall, from Night Court.
Mm-hmm.
He was in like 1 or 2 episodes and all that. Even Sid Haik, or how you spell it? I don't know how you.
No, that's a good point, because the show was kind of a where you were going to go if you weren't going to end up on a soap and then on a primetime show, then you were going to guest star on whatever.
Yeah, like a stepping stone or something.
You're going to be on something like this or a rival show like Who's the Boss,
Yeah, like Isaac Hayes you mentioned, and Wings Hauser,
Yeah, that was cool too, seeing him in this and Hunter recently, because it's like he later went on to basically just be the B movie, direct-to-video kind of guy.
Yeah, was it actually Wings Hauser, I think, was in I wouldn't even call this one a horror movie. It was called I think it was called Rubber. The movie's called Rubber, and it's actually a homicidal tire.
Yes,
with mental abilities. I'm like, how does a tire have mental abilities?
I never expected it.
And it explodes everybody's fucking brain. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to curse.
It's all good. Fuck.
Yeah. I do that all the time on my show, and I'm like,
I would love to see South Park do a version of this.
Oh yeah, A-Team? Yeah, yeah, that'd be funny as hell. Imagine them doing a podcast and like, I don't know. Who else is on here?
I mean, altogether, it just flows so well, just because you're just ready for all just the wackiness and what have you, and it's just what do you think is just so agreeable for most audiences?
Well, I mean, back in the day, we could, like me, I used to grow up watching all this, like the shows, like A-Team, Knight Rider, Street Hawk, what was the other ones? Hunter and all that, and there was like others that popped up here and there, but then they left, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I love the fact that you can go watch A-Team and they do like the fight scene, and it's like such, I mean, it's a typical fight scene, but then, I love the the camera action, like you're going to toss the guy and it looks like he's going to go about like 5 meters, like, in front of you, more
something
than like,
over the top.
A few inches, but it's like over the top and they fly over the car or into the like the bar table or something. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. I can watch this, But in the craziness of like, Helen Matt Murdoch being like a mental patient.
That's a good point too, because like it'll have like you say, Rambo, or even with the cyborg type stuff, Nurse Ratched type villains, but never overdo it to where it would even freak out even the slightest person. It's TV land fare for a reason, guys.
Yeah.
like you say, it is funny seeing just just all these guys just kind of play off each other really well. They are an unofficial family. They accept each other for how stupid and ridiculous they are, and like you say, they play off each other well, and it's just funny seeing like you say, the violence, obviously the 80s was cracking down on any kind of violence, but this wouldn't hurt.
Oh, Big John Studd. They had Big John Studd on there. I didn't even know that. Well, yeah, you got Hulk Hogan. You got to have Big John Studd in there somewhere.
I mean,
but I mean, honestly, Ricky Steamboat. Oh, shit. Anyway, sorry, I'm just looking down the list here. I'm like, damn, Ricky Steamboat. Oh, yeah, they have Rhonda Shear. I don't know if you remember Rhonda Shear. She's if you ever watch like late night shows on USA, You know,
oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean,
you know, and then she would go on there and folks, if you don't know, and I'm not trying to, you know, say anything else, but I mean that you go on the show, but they're not gonna have it now. But back in the day, you know, Ron and she would be like this busty blonde, you know, girl, we call it on there, and she's doing like these low budget movies.
I mean, hell, I saw 2 episodes where Elvira was basically, you know, on St. Elsewhere playing a patient, and same kind of deal here. It's just so funny seeing these people because of what they later end up being, but it just reminds you how everybody was just a working actor. You ended up on every kind of show back then, and
even wrestlers. I mean, I'm looking at more stuff on here, like, you know, Davey Boy Smith from wrestling, you know, Ricky Steamboat from wrestling, Big John Studd. It's like, you name it, probably everybody's like, oh, we'll just bring him in.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you say, you know, it is what it is. It's just interesting seeing like you say, just all these guys just they jive together. They really do a good job of just really playing up just the premise without being just, you know, douchey to each other.
There was an episode where they did a fake A-Team.
Yeah, I mean, and that I like that because that was kind of a good contrast to like the very pilot itself, the 2-part pilot, you know, when, you know, they're being actors, you know, and supervising a TV production, then they get interrupted, and just seeing the military police try different ways to catch them is amusing because you just know, again, it's Keystone Copsville, they're gonna be incompetent at bringing them in, and nothing is ever going to be good enough. And altogether, it's just cool just seeing, like you say, just that it's the same shit every day, and yet they find a way to do something different every time.
Well, like I said, we could have like this, you know, like a make-believe A-Team, and they're, you know, using the name of A-Team to swindle like a folks that doing a carnival or big top show, and then all of a sudden the real A-Team's looking at it like, you know, we don't want to money. We're like, we just want to get these guys, you know, it's like, you know, taking our name and all that, and then they got all 3 guys. They got, you know, Face, they got Hannibal, they got a guy that looks like BA apparently, but none of them look like the guys, and they're missing, you know, Howard Mad Murdoch, which, you know, he comes in, he goes, "Where's your Murdoch? Where? You don't have one." You know.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "You are our secret weapon. Nobody knows about you, so that's
good." Yeah. If you want to do a drinking game, you can definitely, like, just say do one on how many times one another takes the wheel.
Yeah. They're like, who's gonna do this one first? I don't know. So but I'm trying to see who else is on here. Who was that girl? She has like a sister too, Judy. I think it's over here. Hold on. Judy something. No, anyway. Judy Flanders? No, forgot the name. Well, anyway. Yeah, but she's been in a bunch of like shows too. That one is like blonde, busty. She's been she was on MacGyver, actually.
I think so. Yeah, there's a lot, and they definitely missed an opportunity to cross over with MacGyver. That would have been just hysterical because same deal. You know, Richard Dean Anderson did it to, you know, piss off the NRA, say, see, we can make a fun show and no one gets killed. But
there's people that got killed on there. I mean, honestly, you know,
I definitely I found at least 2 maybes, especially in the movies. It's like, yeah, that person probably passed out during the explosion. With A-Team, I was at no luck because just about everybody gets up after the explosion. You know?
No, but I think there was like maybe.
I tried.
Well, like you said, maybe 2 episodes. There's probably maybe 1 kill and here and
I
there.
tried. I was looking really fast on this recent rewatch.
Where is it?
Everybody
I can't find a kill scene.
Even with knockouts, like everybody gets up literally like within seconds. Is like that was the whole deal. Is like they were under intense shit during the post Reagan era. They're just like, oh no, can't have anybody die. We'll get
No, I know
pulled.
there was like one part, one guy gets punched, and I mean, honestly, Mr. T, B.A. Baracus, he has like all those.
Oh yeah, I totally believe he could kill someone, but yeah,
he can like knock somebody out.
Let's just say
the guy's like.
He's like Superman. He depowered himself just for this occasion.
Yeah, just like. But I love the show. I mean, I'm watching it still, not now, but I mean, when we're done here, I'll probably go back and watching it on TV on actually that TV. So, but yeah. So that's what would But what else is because I didn't like I hate when they do the remakes on movies.
Yeah, I did see the movie. At the time, I had seen a handful of episodes over the years and parts of it, but never like all the way. And it's fun seeing it all fleshed out here. But
yeah,
I mean, I knew the premise and I knew about the whole thing. And I mean, by the time that movie came out, the A-Team was still being referenced in everything from wacky cartoon shows where a bunch of people, like SWAT Cats is probably an infamous example, but yeah, there was always a cartoon or video game or B movie that was heavily A-Team inspired. That I liked Liam Neeson as Hannibal Smith. He was the right amount of serious while letting out a dry wit, and I had no problem with Rampage Jackson. He looked and sounded exactly like Mr. T, but Sharlto Copley, he was kind of take it or leave it. But yeah, Bradley Cooper, that was a total. I could have done without him. Yeah, he just wasn't in the zone, and it was pretty much just what he made in between Hangover and all the other later A-list stuff he was doing. And I would have been okay if they did another one to improve on it. I know it's one of the most inconsistent reboots I think has come out. I know so many people who don't mind it. I know many others who loathe it with a passion, either because they just think it's a bad movie or because it's
not bad. It's just the way, I don't know. My thing is like whenever they do a character and they get the right person to do the character, it should be somebody that's not well known.
I agree. I mean, I don't mind. I'll say though, it had its head in the right place. I mean, I think the trailer wrecked it. If you go look at either version of the trailer, it's really, really fucking stupid. And having it come out the same year, also like when people were looking forward to movies like Red, Retired Extremely Dangerous with Bruce Willis and Helen Mirren, as well as The Expendables, I think was a mistake because people were just too distracted. They couldn't keep up with all the men on a mission, over the top blockbusters. And I don't mind Skip Woods. I know he's kind of mocked, but yeah, he's worked on the latest Die Hard movies, both Hitman films, Thursday, which was a dark comedy, as well as Swordfish and Sabotage. And I guess that was the dirty cop narc team with Schwarzenegger and Terrence Howard. Overall, I thought it was better than, say, his X-Men Origins script, which was just dumb. But overall, I guess the A-Team, what it was really lacking was just, if not the tone, I guess you could say maybe, perhaps just as much interest as it really needed. I thought Brian Bloom was just a little over the top as one of the villains. Jessica Biel was okay, but it's kind of just hit and miss. There's some fun moments, but then there's also some dumb moments too, like too dumb even by A-Team standards. I don't know. What's your take?
Well, what's the dumb moments though? I mean, like which one you're thinking about?
Oh, just I think just some of the humor was just like back and forth, and some of it just feels like just kind of throwaways. Like it doesn't really, the humor doesn't really like go anywhere or build up to the next scene. It's kind of just, hey, let's get a random pop culture reference in there. But
yeah, but are you talking about the movie or the series?
The movie version? Yeah.
Oh yeah, the movie. Yeah, they always do that. They always put like
I mean, there's a random Steely Dan reference, and I'm like, great, I like Steely Dan. Why's that in there?
yeah, exactly. You know, you're like, really? Why?
For real?
You know? No, but like I said, because like,
I mean, I could watch it, and I've seen parts of it, especially when I would go by a Best Buy store at the time before I realized Best Buy is not, a great place to get any discounts. But
oh no, definitely.
It's okay, but it really wouldn't even make my top action movies of that year. It's just kind of a mediocre, just rehash. I mean, it was inevitable, and I applaud them for bringing in like 2 guest appearances. But I think what really does it in is probably the finale. It's like it has some well choreographed action, but at the same time, like just the final plot twist where they got like a villain and he's not the real guy running the show, and then they show like make it look like he's been killed. That just plays against the whole tone. But
yeah,
I can probably rewatch it another time, but it'll probably be the same deal. It's just going to be too mixed a bag. But I mean, to each their own. I mean, I've been able to handle other campy movie versions of other cult shows like I Spy and McHale's Navy, but that one was kind of a step down, I guess.
That is just like maybe.
And it's just not easy. But this is what the fun of it all is, just seeing what could be done better.
Yeah, but it seems a little bit more. I would love to see like an 18 kind of version going on and be like still going on, and or even if they did remake it for like a series, I mean, honestly, you got Mr. T, and he still somewhat looks good. I mean, he has a gray going on, but they can always change that shit. George Apart, I think he passed away, I believe. Dirk Benedict, I think he's still around. And
he is,
Schultz, I think is still around as well. So,
but like you say, I mean, it is kind of like Knight Rider. I guess they've tried redoing it again, and then it would just be, I guess, a little too much for today's.
Well, yeah, they redid it, but they redid Knight Rider like 2000. What, we're in 2023. I think that's what they did, that like whole remake of 2020.
Yeah, and then they try to they almost always will, kind of like with the new MacGyver, kind of suffer from this where
I hated that.
Yeah, I can't applaud it either.
I mean, even Magnum PI, they did a remake of Magnum PI.
The Magnum PI one was messy. MacGyver one had some watchable action, and I think I was only watching just because one of the guys from CSI was on. But I mean, I can't blame star Richard Dean Anderson for saying I don't want anything to do with this, because you're missing the whole point of the show. It's supposed to be a violent Born Identity, Die Hard type show. It's supposed to be a fun Indiana Jones type adventure of the week with humor, and it's funny.
Well, MacGyver always gives you, like, it teaches something, like if you're in high school and then you're going to,
and it uses actual science.
Science. They use science, like, oh, if you do this with like hydro chloride or something,
James Bond meets Bill Nye the Science Guy at the time. And
like, oh, make a bomb.
I can understand how they just wanted to have a random crossover event for the whole CBS network, but it just got dumb as it went along, because then they tried to cross it over with the NCIS shows. I'm like, there's no way any of these shows are in the same universe, but whatever. And it made sense when they did that new Hawaii Five-0, because I can't lie, there's some great stunts on that show. But then it got meta when they're like, oh, here's the actual Jack Lord guy and a bunch of other people, so it's technically a continuation of the original show. But then, like you say, when they just had brought those same crew over and they had it start doing the same thing with the new MacGyver, and it was just too messy. But yeah, it was definitely really, really bad when they got to the new Magnum because like it just didn't have a chance. I had nothing against the actors and everything, but it just was a very convoluted like spy show, and I was just like, why even call it Magnum? Why not just call it PIs Incorporated or something? Just like maybe a homage show instead of a because just when you, I mean, if you want to even be meta, like the new Equalizer with the Queen Latifah, like it's trying to do its own thing, so I can at least applaud it. Is that the version of it I wanted? No, I wanted another, sequel, which we are getting this year, with Denzel Washington. But it's if you're gonna be your own existence, you got to just like justify it. And it just seemed like you say, the new Magnum just was kind of just so concerned with, well, we got to be sexy, but we don't need to have any charm. I'm like, well, you totally need charm because like that was the whole point of the original show. It was charming.
and also I think Magnum PI, comparing Magnum PI and all that, Magnum wasn't like an ethnic
it wasn't an ethnic role. It wasn't about who he was or how him being white. And much like the A-Team, it was a 4-person team. One of them had a private copter. One of them owned a restaurant, and the other just happened to be the housekeeper that drove him crazy. And it was a fun, again, like you say, dilemma between it all. And it's like this one minute it would get serious, the next minute it would get, dumb and silly. But whoever was doing the editing, like, was not doing just the minimum to make you say, okay, we're transitioning.
I think whoever was doing like the remakes have never seen, like, you see all the remakes or the reboots or whatever.
Apparently they fired that guy. His name is Peter Linkob. He had written for blockbusters and like Demolition Man and other TV shows like CSI New York and 24. But he apparently got fired because apparently he was so under stressed and not ready to just like be up to par with what was required that he would like yell over the phone to all the producers to where they couldn't even make out what he was saying. And then finally they just had to fire him. They're like, that's toxic behavior, dude. You gotta chill.
Yeah, you gotta go and
I hear he's otherwise a nice guy, but they always seem to hire someone who, if you can't be organized like a David E. Kelly or a Dick Wolf, who just the only time you're going to hear something bad from them is if you really went out of line, like you exploded on someone on set or were constantly late. That's the only time you're going to get called into their office, And it just seems like some people, like you say, it's kind of like how shows that go on way too long on the air, post Emmy and Golden Globe acclaim, is the same kind of deal where it's like you just have people who they accept success and they get too spoiled and they can't say no. And it's like, just say no. You're not up to it. You can only do one show at a time. It doesn't make sense to do this.
Just say no.
Say no.
It's like peer pressure and drugs. You can say no.
Right.
Don't.
Or hire a showrunner instead of, no, I want to run it all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That
could be anything else.
He had like what? 5 people working on each staff. He could have easily has said, hey, how about you be in charge of this one? How about you be in charge of that? How about, it's just dumb.
Yeah, somebody want to try to help me out here? No, of course not.
It's one-man show.
But it's just crazy how that, I don't know. I like
you say, it seems like this is also the dying breed of just shows that are just kind of just laid back. I mean, there's plenty of other comfort food shows now too, but it's not anywhere near this kind of subtlety now. Everything has to have
they remade Hawaii 5-0.
Right.
And my mom watches it and she loves it. And I've seen a couple of episodes of it, and it's pretty decent. It's not like your campy, I'm not saying campy, but I mean like, you can have like some people from the original show go and make.
It's pretty much like martial law, where and it even has some of the same directors and stunt crew as that show, where it's just they're just they want to aim for, again, the 48 hours Lethal Weapon type formula. But don't get me wrong, there are some who don't know how to do that formula. And don't get me wrong, it does a better job of that, I'd say, because like you say, it's just...
that's what I'm saying about, we call it people that do the remakes or reboots. It's like, I don't think they ever seen the show, or they did.
Well, that's just it. Those are the same people who worked on the new MacGyver and Magnum. So yes. I think, like you say, they might have seen a few here and there, or maybe they were told strictly it can't be anything like that. So, but I think the only where I went wrong with Hawaii Five-0 was when they fired, again, Daniel Day Kim and Grace Park. I was like, because they weren't being paid the same wage. I'm like, how are they not being paid the same as the other two guys? Why not keep Grace Park, so you can have that Battlestar Galactica audience, and get rid of Scott Conn. He doesn't do anything.
Like, that person didn't do shit.
Didn't do shit. Yeah.
Son of a
bitch. And altogether, I mean, like you say, I think because it was more brisk and to the point, it just was more fun. Even when it got too serious for its own good. But yeah, as those other shows went on, you can just kind of tell that they were so busy just trying to get an episode in the can every week that they just weren't really having any fun, and it kind of showed on screen. But if they were to do A-Team again now, like I would be fine if they just retitled it like BA Hannibal and Company or something like that. Just do a witty thing, or maybe do the Van Crew, and then people go
like A-Team Revised or A-Team
something. It doesn't even have to have A-Team in it. Like, maybe that's how the show could end. Like, the show ends when they join the A-Team.
I mean, honestly, you try doing it now with the original cast, if they were like, some of them were still alive. I don't think it'd be able to do well, because one, they're older. But then they're gonna be looking like, oh, my God, it's like, are they coming out with wheelchairs or
that? And I mean, Amazon's comic book adaptation, The Boys, is kind of like an R-rated version of the A-Team at times, because they also kind of have that.
The Boys is just
because same kind of deal, vigilantes who want to kill superheroes.
I could not even believe. I mean, like, I was like, me and my girlfriend were watching The Boys, and I'm like, it's like, hey, let's watch this.
It's kind of like Deadpool on steroids. You're like, whoa.
Well, no, we didn't know what it was at first, because it didn't really show you like everything. And I was like, we looked at the first, not even the first 10 minutes of the first episode, freaking the girlfriend gets like freaking Z'd by the Flash kind of type of guy.
Yeah.
You see blood just all over, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, it's gonna be like this? I was like, holy shit. I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch more. And then my girlfriend was watching it, and this is like my girlfriend's reaction every time, like, holy shit. But they are coming out, I think, wait a minute, there's 1, 2, 3, I think there might be a part 4.
Oh, there's gotta be a season 4 by now.
Yeah. Well, no, because they're gonna have, because if you haven't watched like Supernatural, like the TV show, so Jensen Ackles,
it was funny seeing him on that, because it was just so against his good boy image. He's been
but he had a bad boy image too on Supernatural.
He does eventually, but I mean, altogether, I just thought it was funny how they had him be like an evil Captain America equivalent.
But it fits him so well, though. I mean, he does it really well, and especially like he's the dad of Homelander.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, sorry, folks, if you didn't see it.
Oh shit!
Sorry. Spoiler alert! But but it was like, I would love to because then but that was the other thing. So you got Jensen Ackles that plays like the father of Homelander, but then you had his uncle, like, that was in Supernatural, and he's one of like the executives of the Boys, the superhero group. But then they're thinking about getting the guy that played God in Supernatural.
Yeah.
They're going to bring him in there, and they're trying to get Jared Padalecki, we call it, on there
right.
as well.
It sounds
which
about right.
I was like, holy shit, that'd be
I mean,
fun.
that makes sense. The Eric Kraft, the main writer on Supernatural, works on both, but I mean, he people forget he left the deal, years ago.
Yeah.
All together.
All together now.
All together now.
All together. We do anything.
Oh man. All together. Have you shown this to any family or friends?
The what?
Have you shown 18 to any friends or family?
Well, I mean, when we grew up, I mean, my brother's seen it. Yeah, I think my sister.
Any nieces or
like
nephews?
No, you know what? Because my niece now, she's like 8 going on 30. I mean, she's trying to watch she watches YouTube videos, but like the more older YouTube videos or something. And I'm like, are you supposed to be watching this? And she's like, no, my mom won't let me. I'm like, well, hey, maybe there's a reason why you're not supposed to watch it. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, And especially the toys. And I know we're talking about 18, but
yeah, I mean, if you were to look at a
toys are awesome. Not these toys now that little girls
bet they were
little strippers.
But yeah, it was the same thing as G.I. Joe. It's like, it can't be the worst.
Oh, G.I. Joe. Oh man, don't even. I the only thing about the movies, if you're going to do a movie about like a remake, if you're doing a remake of like say a cartoon movie of like or a cartoon of like say G.I. Joe,
yeah,
and you're doing a remake, and especially also X-Men. If you're doing a comic book movie, like say X-Men, don't throw all the characters that you see in the comic book into that one movie.
Into there, yeah.
Yeah, because every person that is a huge fan like myself, it's gonna be like, why is he there while these guys
too much all at once? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's supposed to be showing up like way after, so-called like say some people in X-Men died or something, but then they had Xavier, we call it like one or two of the movies, and then he dies, and I'm like, he never really died in the comic books, maybe down the line, but not after like 4 freaking movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Made too much.
But it's and then they throw everything in one shot. It's just like, oh, let's do this, and like, no, why don't you look at the cartoon, and then it goes in order basically. But no, they don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always say Hollywood doesn't have an original thought in their head.
Yeah, and then they just wrongly assume that, most fans don't exist or don't apply. It's like, if you were to just, I get that there's toxicity on the internet and there's people who will never be satisfied, but honestly, if you actually, look at just various forums, you'll get an idea of what people are thinking or saying. And unfortunately, just so many of them just won't do the homework. It's like, please.
No, I know. They never do the homework.
It's easier to just not do it. Yeah.
It's like how we were when we were younger. We don't want to do the homework. We'll go to school, and then we'll come home and we want to play like football or basketball or
yeah.
Nowadays kids these days now are like, oh, you want to go on the computer and want to play Xbox and all this other stuff. They don't go outside. They only know what outside is.
Right.
They go out there like, oh, what's this? I'm like, it's grass. Play in it, get dirty so they can wash your clothes.
Right.
Or some shit. I don't know. But hey, there's Tom Selleck. I just saw Tom Selleck. I saw it's so exciting. Sandwich, please.
Probably. Oh, this has been a delight having you on the show, my dude. And
oh yeah, man, no problem. We got to do more of this. We got some more other shows we got to talk.
oh yeah, you listen to some good ones. I'm like, yeah, we'll definitely schedule that soon.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then I'll have you on mine because actually,
okay, sure.
Actually, since we are on the subject of the whole thing, and where is it? Oh, I think she left it inside. I have this game, and for anybody that doesn't know, I have a podcast, but I'm doing a third season. The third season is going to be starting probably in February, March.
Nice.
But it's going to be a game show type. So the first season I did was
fun
just
play on that.
yeah, like first season was me to jabber jawing about different shit. Second season I was doing more interview stuff with different podcasters, which I am, I think, going to be posting maybe the last of maybe number 95 episode of interviews with podcasters and doing a game show thing. So the game show would be a podcast versus podcast elimination style. So, like, say for yourself, I would go in, like the brackets they have for football or whatever, or some kind of thing, and then we'll have like yourself versus somebody else, and it's called the movie game.
The movie.
Okay. So if you know movies like you do, you know about movies and everything else, but this is more like I would describe a movie, one thing, and I was describing no movie on another card. Well, basically it's all together and they mash up, but then you have to figure out the name of both movies and put it together like how it would be mashed up. But then you get hints, but then it goes by points. So if you get one side, you get 10 points. If you get the other side, or if you get all of it, you get 20 points altogether. And then you win that thing. But if you had to guess or had to give me a hint, then the points deduct. So if you have say the first one you got is 10 points, and then you're trying to figure out what the other one is, and I will give you 5 chances. And if you can't get the 5 chances, then it goes to the other podcast and see what they can get out of it. And if they get it, then they get the points, and then whoever wins goes on the next round to face the winner of the next one. So
exactly.
I mean, there might be a prize. I'm not
pass
sure
it around.
Huh?
And pass it around, basically.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's how you go against football or something. So if somebody wins, they're going to go against the old people that win. And then we get down to the nitty gritty of the last two, and whoever wins at the end of it, gets a prize. And the prize, really don't know what it is, because I did that once on my first season. And the first season I did more names in a hat, pulled them out, and friends of mine that I know, we call it that, sell knives, jewelry, whatever in their shop. They donated some stuff to hand out. And friends of mine at a video game store, they donated stuff. And then I had a whole bunch of comic books. Nice. So then I just take a name out of the thing. So whoever won, I send that to them via mail. The second one, whoever wins that one gets, whatever it is, and so forth. And then there's a third one. So so that's what I want to try to do. I want to try to put a whole, when I ask certain people that want to donate, and then there'll be one big gift on who wins.
Yeah, it's considerate. Movie. So now they're even encouraged to play, because now they're going to really go to town.
No, I know. There's a couple of people that want to get on. I want to invite you as well if you want to be on.
Okay. Challenge accepted. Yeah, sure.
Challenge accepted. So I would try to get a hold of you, and then we'll do the same thing on Zoom.
Sure.
So anybody else that's listening,
please
go to. You mind if I plug my show or no?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Now's the time.
Yeah, now is the time. So, folks, my name is Dre. I do a Ta2Squid Podcast where I would either, like I just said, talk about anything from my point of view or talk to guests. But I'm going to be doing a game show. Just go to Linktree / Ta2Squid Podcast. That one just all one word. Then you'll see like all the links to different, from Instagram to YouTube to TikTok, whatever else is out there. I'm pretty much on everything, I guess. And then then you'll see how it is. Yeah. And if anything, you too can win something from the Ta2Squid Podcast. Maybe. See what happens.
It's a maybe.
Yeah, it's a maybe, But yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. I just gotta like figure out how to get the brackets going, and then I'll put everybody down, whoever I want to go put against, and see what happens.
Whoever shows up. No, just kidding.
Well, no, that's the other thing, because now, I can understand when I send like an invite, and you know how it goes. Like you do the same thing, like we were supposed to do it like yesterday.
Yeah, and
we got sidetracked.
Oh man.
And then, but same thing. Like if I'm gonna invite somebody to do the thing, and like, listen, it's gonna be on this
serious.
Yeah, like it's gonna be on this day. Then I need you guys to be on there this day. If you can't be on this day, then I have to see if anybody else wants to go on there, because I don't want to go and say, well, it could work out.
We're ready.
I mean, if there's like one person that's on there and then the other one doesn't show up or something, then that podcast will win by default.
Exactly. It's going to be rough.
They'll get a bye, basically.
We'll barely get by. Anyway, it's been a delight having you on here. And
yeah, man.
Can't wait to do more fun brackets.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'll let you know what's going on.
Anytime.
Just so give me drop me a line. We call every once in a while, and then so that way I know that you're still interested and all, and then I'll
anytime.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show.